Oh, hi. Morning. Just taping together the North Lake tank pattern right now. We're going to be putting this together, sewing it up this morning. Hopefully you guys can join me. It should be almost exciting. All right, thanks. Bye. What's up, people?
Yeah.
I'm Brandon, or Dad, as this wildcat's supposed to call me.
Penny.
That's Penny. We're here showing off the North Lake tank regular version. As you can see, right here, turn a little bit. There, regular. We got a muscle version that comes down a little bit lower that we'll show you a little bit later. So today we're going to be working on the tutorial on how to sew this bad boy up for everybody. Penny, turn around. Turn around, show it off. One more turn, one more turn. There, nailed it. So, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and you can follow along step by step as you see these magical hands put it together. All right, Penny, what did we say now?
Let's get sewing.
All right. Oh!
Awesome.
RaincityPattern.com. Here are the required pieces for the regular tank. You have one front and one back, one pocket, two armbands, two hoods, outer fabric, two hoods, liner fabric, one waistband. As you can see, the hoods are mirrored. Starting with the pocket, we're going to fold the right sides together, line up the edges, we're going to sew along this line, right up through there, and again on this side. Now we're going to flip it in, right side out. Go ahead and make sure to clip these corners here, a little slit right here, makes it easier when you turn it. So, at least a little bit easier. You know what else helps? Using a chopstick or really anything, maybe a pen. Probably not a ballpoint pen with the ink side out, that'd be bad. There we go. Should look something like this when you're all done, or close to it. I'm sure yours will look better than mine. And then we're going to put a top stitch right along here, right along here. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to mark the center line however you want. We used these pins here. It's a little bit easier for us to see when we unfold it. So we will unfold this. You can see our center line. You might be able to see that with the pins right here. We're going to take our pocket, line it up with the center line, this folded in half, line up the edges. We're going to unfold it. You're going to end up sewing along this line, straight across the top here. So this is what it's going to look like when the pocket is sewn onto the front here. The next step, we are going to move on to the hoods. So slide that out of the way, slide these in. So the process is the same for the inner and the outer. Go ahead and put the pieces right sides together, as you can see right here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sew along this line right here, all the way down around the corner. Stop there. Do not sew this and do not sew this. Just this piece for now. All right, now that the hoods have been sewn around the edges here, we went ahead and put a couple of clip marks all the way around this corner. Same with this one. It's going to make it a little bit easier to turn inside out or right side out. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this one right side out. Something along these lines eventually. And we're going to insert it into this one. See how easy that was? Ta-da! Now that you have all of these raw edges lined up, what you're going to do is you're going to sew along here, all the way down and around. Alright, now that the hood and the liner have been sewn together, you're going to turn it right side out. And get the liner back on the inside here. Once you get it all lined up correctly, you're going to top stitch around this edge here, all the way around. Alright, now that the hood has been top stitched along this edge here, you can see this is what it should look like when it's complete. We're going to go ahead and move on to the waistband. So the waistband, you want to fold right sides together in half. Line up these edges here, and then we're going to fold it up, just like this. Making sure these edges are lined up, and you're going to sew right along this edge right here. Alright, now that you have that edge sewn, we're going to go ahead and turn this right side out. I'm a slow mover. I made that look much more difficult than it really was or needed to be. So now moving on to the armbands, it's the same method that we used for the waistbands. We're going to fold them right sides together, match up these short edges. We're going to fold them up, and I'm going to go ahead and clip them. There's one, here's two. Line it up, get the edges, fold it up again, make sure it's all lined up the way that you want it to, and clip it. Just like the waistband, you're going to put a stitch right through here, sew that end. Alright, now that you got the armbands sewn up at the edges, we're going to go ahead and turn these right side out as well. Since I had all that practice with the waistband, these armband turns should be much easier. You'd think so. But it's not, it's just smaller. My hands didn't get any smaller either. There's one. And two. Ta-da! So now we're moving on to sewing the front piece to the back piece. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this over right side to right side, right on top. We're going to match up all these lines. Once you get these lined up to your liking, right there, what you're going to do is you're going to sew the shoulder straps together. Yeah, screw that over a little bit. So you're going to sew the shoulders together, and then the sides. Shoulder, sides. Now that we've gotten the front and the back of the shirt sewn together along the sides and at the shoulders, we're going to start putting the waistband on. we've marked the waistband 180 degrees out from the sew or the seam. What we're going to do is we're going to slide this right in here, lining up the seams on the shirt with the mark that we have over here, and the seam on the shirt and the seam of the waistband. Like that. If I can see it. There we go. Once we get those lined up with the seams, we're going to line up the raw edge of the shirt and the waistband. We're going to sew it along this edge right here. So now that the waistband has been sewn on along that edge, all you do is unfold it. Just fold it down. That part is done. So the next step is we're going to move on to the armband. This one's already been attached. I'm going to try to show you real quick how to do that. So what you do is you find the seam when you had sewn it earlier. You take a push pin or a clip, or however you want to do it, and you mark it 180 degrees out from that seam. So here's the seam. We're going to put a little pin in it just to kind of mark it. We're going to line this up. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to slide over just like this. Let me get my finger in there. Right through here. You're going to make sure that the seam on the shoulder is pushed straight back, folded back towards the back. You're going to pin it right into my finger. And the next one, down here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to mark this seam, get it lined up with the seam on the side. You're going to slightly stretch this a little, or I'm sorry, let's get this pinned. After you get the two seams lined up, you're going to mark that, pin it in place, and you're going to slightly stretch the armband only and sew around this edge here. Now that the armbands have been sewn on, all you do is simply flip them outward, just like this. There. Now the sleeve, or the armbands are done. So we're going to move on to the hood next. So with the hood, what we're going to do is take these two edges here. That's the front. Oh, yeah, let's open this up so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to take these two, and we're going to overlap these seams by about a 1/2 inch. Just about like that. I don't know if you can see that. And you're going to baste it right here. So now that the armbands are sewn on, we're going to work on attaching the hood. So what we're going to do is you're going to fold the shirt in half. You're going to mark your center line for the back and the center line for the front using a pin, or whatever method you want to use. We used a pin. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this back up with those marked. Yeah, pin's crooked because it's bent. But you still see where center line is, right there, right there. So what you want to do is you want to line up this point right here with this overlap on the hood, on the front of the hood where those two seams overlap. So in order to do that, you're going to have to do one of these little numbers. Something along these lines here. I don't know if you can see that or not. So we have the front overlapped with that, and the back seam of the hood, here's the liner, there's the seam, lined up with the pin on the front. Just like that. Boy, that's really... There we go. There we go. Now we're getting there. So once you get those lined up, ta-da! So we got the front pinned. We pinned the hood to the shirt, to the front of the shirt, and we clipped the hood to the back of the shirt here, with the seams lined up here, the overlap, and the center line lined up there. And you're just going to sew along this line here, all the way around. Alright, now that you have the hood sewn on, this is what it should look like all the way around the neck here. So, that concludes the tutorial for the regular tank. There you go. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I sure did. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow along for the next pattern.
No.
Don't say anything, I'll say it.